Or maybe just avert your eyes as we head now to the Valley of the Sun. This is game 4 between the Phoenix Suns and Minnesota Timberwolves. Chiney Ogwumike here to help me break this down. Anthony Edwards just doing everything to will his team. Remember, no team led by more than 6 points entering the fourth quarter. Anthony Edwards pulls up from 3, gets that one to go.
Yeah, the best thing that a player in the NBA can do, straight up take over. This was instant classic performances from Kevin Durant, from Devin Booker, but it was Ant Edwards that showed the world that he has got game on both ends of the floor.
That was just an all-time block, Brian Windhorst.
Great googly moogly. Look at this guy in this fourth quarter. It was absolutely awesome to watch.
Everyone at home, get great googly moogly into a sentence by the end of the day. Anthony Edwards once again elevates from 3, nails it, gets it to go. The bench is fired up here. Kevin Durant going to work, but watch the switching here again.
You know what they say? Be connected, be on a string. That is the best defense in the NBA for a reason, because they're committed to winning no matter what it takes.
Well, but this was the possession that if Ant Edwards hadn't said, "I've arrived," he did on that play. Kendrick, Perkins, did this remind you of anything?
Yes, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, you are the father. Jesus Christ.
So this is Maury now, Perk.
Yes,
this is Maury.
This is Maury. This was a scary moment, though. 1:45 to play here. Mike Conley, full head of steam, just barrels in, collides, accidentally, of course, with Chris Finch, the head coach. He goes down in pain here. Just take another look. Finch would actually rupture his right patellar tendon. He left the arena on crutches, as you can see there. And then Anthony Edwards putting the final touches on the win here and just holding up a 40 to the crowd, letting everybody know sweep complete. Let's take a listen to Ant.
I was thinking 31 points in the second half. You're not getting off the ball very much then, right?
I mean, they wasn't. I will say they stopped double teaming me. Like, it was more of like, you got to beat us. So, and I showed them, like, you need to double me.
So impressed with Ant. My favorite player to watch. Just grown so much since he came into the league at 22. Just his love for the game just shines bright, and that's something that's one of the reasons why I like him the most, because he just loves basketball. He's grateful to be in this position. He's taking advantage of every opportunity he's gotten. Love everything about Ant, everything.
Honestly, same. And I have to keep reminding myself, Chiney, he's 22. 22. This is where his 40 points stacks up against other players who are age 22 or younger in a series-clinching playoff win. It's the most since his first-round counterpart and personal GOAT, Kevin Durant, scored 41 to eliminate Denver 13 years ago. You have to love that symmetry here. Let's dive into this a little bit further. Chiney Ogwumike, Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins beaming in. Perk, I want to start with you here. What did the Timberwolves prove to you with this win?
Well, that they're legit title contenders within this series, because a lot of people thought that the Phoenix Suns could possibly beat them in this series. But what they showed is that they could take it to another level, right? The role players showed that in this series, we could be consistent offensively. We know that they're the #1 defense. And by the way, Adam Silver, you don't have to look no more. I know you've been searching for the next face of the NBA, where we have found him in Anthony Edwards. This guy is spectacular, and when you could carry as a young 22-year-old and go on the road in 2 games and average 38 and put it on your shoulders to close them out, there you go. That's all that needs to be said. And this young man right here, he's ready for action. He's ready for war. And the Denver Nuggets, whenever they decide to close out the Los Angeles Lakers, they better strap their shoes up.
He is the future of American basketball. I think Ja Morant still has a chance to grab that crown, but as we've had this setbacks with Ja the last 2 years, this is where Anthony Edwards has moved in. This was his first opportunity to have a closeout game, and it was on the road, and he was absolutely brilliant. And the thing about him that is so great is that he plays both ends, and he cares about both ends, and he truly loves his teammates. He is not a conventional leader, but he is a very effective leader. You watch how his team follows him. You watch how he supports his team. You know, he had that quote early in the series. They got Kevin Durant. We got Jaden McDaniels.
I love that.
That was funny, but he was being serious. This is how he views the game. We got to see it play out last night, and we're going to get to see it play out more and more in the coming years.
Yeah, it takes a certain level of vulnerability to be great. You've got to take the shots that other people don't want to take because you might be afraid, and you learn by those shots. And what we've seen is that he is willing to accept that challenge. Perk mentioned the 38 points per game in the postseason. Let's talk about the fourth quarter, where he leads the NBA in postseason at 10.5 points on 67% shooting.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a franchise that a year or so ago was in the middle of an ultimate power struggle. Ant comes in, everyone knows his talent. Cat is there, he's already certified as a great shooter. Rudy comes in and he has, you know, that French bravado, but also that bravado amounts in one of the best defenders this game has ever seen.
Yeah.
And he emerges at the age of 22, not only upping his game, but showing he can lead. And it takes a level of humility and just like, listen to what we get from the press conferences. He's real. That's why I always say it's all about progress over perfection. He's not the perfect player, but he's committed to progressing himself as an individual, but also his team, and it's just been so much fun to watch.
Anthony Edwards is certainly the head of the snake. I agree with you. If he is not the face of the league right now, he is going to be in the coming years. But this was a team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that hadn't won a playoff series in 20 years, had been the laughing stock of the league in a lot of ways, and was more known for overlooking and not picking Steph Curry than anything else. Fast forward to today. They have the brightest star in the NBA right now, maybe outside of Victor Wembanyama. And the sky is the limit. We are talking about them as true contenders. Just a couple of years after we were all asking, oh, is the double big going to work? Karl Anthony Towns shot 53% on threes in this series.
Period.
53%.
And had one of his great performances of his career last night. It got overshadowed a little bit by Ant, but Towns, with Gobert in foul trouble, putting up that performance last night, 11 of 17 shooting, was huge
and
for
to turn
him.
and say, well, this guy is our best offensive player, Karl Anthony Towns, you're seeing leadership in real time.
I mean, for the first time since the Kevin Garnett days, we were talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves as true contenders. But what's still kind of so fascinating to me is that the Suns swept the Timberwolves in the regular season, but life, it comes at you fast. Next thing you know, they get swept when it matters the most. And as you can see, that doesn't happen too often. Take a listen to Devin Booker and Kevin Durant after their early playoff exit here.
Hopefully everybody's feeling the same type of hurt. And, you know, it has to be fixed. I have to be better. Kevin has to be better, Brad has to be better, Coach has to be better. If we're the leaders of the team, we can't be out there unprepared. Yeah, everything could be better.
What specifically, why was there?
I won't go into specifics because, I mean, that's stuff that we'll talk about. And like I said, I don't want to be up here making excuses for what happened. So we just deal with it, and we'll figure it out as a family moving forward.
Okay, so I was looking through my notes. I sat down with Matt Ishbia right at the beginning of the season, the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He said the word win 13 times in 3 minutes. He said championship 3 times. That means the man didn't go more than 12 seconds without referencing one of those 2 words. So obviously this was not the team that was put together to get swept right in the first round. How disappointing is this, Kendrick, for the Suns?
It's one of the biggest, in my eyes, the biggest disappointment. You can't have a big 3 in Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant and not win one game in the series. Forget winning the series. They got swept. And here's the thing, right? We've been questioning all season long about the leadership, and I've been harping on that. But you know the funny thing about all of this is that I'm not the one to go looking for information. Sometimes information finds me. And what I noticed, what we saw last night with the behavior of Bradley Beal and Frank Vogel, we saw that, right? The dab off or the slapping of the hand. We saw the bad body language. But this has been going on all season long, led by Kevin Durant, okay? When you have a disconnect in the locker room where your two-time MVP, two-time finals MVP and your two-time NBA champion is not talking to your head coach because he's mad about the play calling and mad about not being the #1 option, this is what happens. Not everybody else in the organization or on the team feel like they could disrespect Frank Vogel or drown him out for us listening to his schemes or his strategies. And so when I think about that, you have to, if you're the head coach, you have to have the support from the front office, the people at top, to be able to go in there and demand the locker room. But Frank Vogel does not have that, and it's probably looking dangerous for him.
It's looking dangerous everywhere out there in the Valley of the Sun. It's looking a little scorched earth. It's looking a little burnt. But to me, when I look at this, there's no reason that Booker, Beal, and Durant should be minus 51 over the course of this entire series.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. So I can understand Kevin Durant's frustrations. I guess you can say a little bit like I didn't play to my strengths, but you still had, what, did he average like 27 this year at the age of 35? You still had a tremendous season. Beal, I mean, unfortunately, it didn't seem like he acclimated well with the duo of Booker. We finally got a huge Booker performance, but it never came together at the right time. To me, this was the most expensive sweep that we've seen.
Right.
It's a sweep that will have implications on the way teams are constructed for the future based off of the way that the CBA is. And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys pivot. What can be salvageable after getting sunburnt?
Yep.
And what cannot be.
I'm glad you brought up expensive. Phoenix is married next season, our Bobby Marks notes, to the most expensive roster in NBA history. And there are not a whole lot of moves that they can make. Brian, where do they go from here?
They can functionally only trade 3 players, other than minimum salary players, which you're not going to be able to trade for much. That is Devin Booker, who is your franchise player, Kevin Durant, who you're not going to be able to get equal return for. I can't see that being something they want to do. Or Jusuf Nurkic, who is their franchise center and doesn't have an incredible amount of value in the league. They have traded 4 first-round picks, 6 second-round picks, and 4 first-round swaps. They are essentially locked into this roster. And that is a situation we've never seen before.
Right.
We've seen a historic gamble on these big 3 combined with these new rules that restrict what you are as a high-spending team. I'll also take you back when the Heat brought their big 3 together. They were obviously an imperfect team. In year 2, they signed Shane Battier. In year 3, they signed Ray Allen. They were a juggernaut. Those were signings with the mid-level exception. They can't do it. They're not allowed to use it. It's taken away. They do have this year's draft pick.
But that's it.
But they can't. They really probably shouldn't even trade that because they can't get any other players in. This is like their last chance to draft for a couple of years. So they are locked into a team. And I do think it's interesting. Durant last night did talk about continuity. It may not be that he just is feeling love for Phoenix. Continuity may be their only option, considering what they've got in this team, hoping to bring it back together. But at the end of the day, this team wasn't good enough. The players 4 through 14 were not good enough. They had the lowest scoring bench in the league. That is as big of an issue as the fit or the number of shots that Kevin Durant got.
And now they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. The problem is they have all but exhausted their options.
The drawing board is this big.
Right.
It's a very, very small
board.
board.
That's a doodle board.
And the pen,
that's not a drawing board.